Monster Jam and monster trucks as a whole would have never been anything without independent monster trucks. Obviously, people talk about Monster Jam and Feld, but the independents are the true backbone of the monster truck and monster jam industry from all the way back in the 80s, with it starting with a bunch of guys building monster trucks in their garage. We would not be here today if it weren't for those legends who started this sport. So that's why I wanted to do a top 10 for my favorite independent monster trucks of all time. This is ranging for a lot of different things, between how hard the truck is driven, how much I like the way the truck looks. A lot of factors go into this list. You're just gonna have to watch to find out why I make these top 10 picks. And we will start things off with the number 10 spot on my top 10 favorite independent trucks of all time list. We have the Black Pearl. The Black Pearl easily could have been higher, but it's kind of faded on me over time, but it is easily one of my favorite monster trucks ever made, and on the independents list, it is a perfect way to start things off. A truck that began in 2018, driven by Colt. He has made this truck one of the coolest trucks out there. It changes body styles almost yearly and drives this truck into the ground. It's got such a unique look to it, and anytime you see the Black Pearl in a lineup, you just know you're going to be getting some incredible action in some way, shape, or form. And Colt has really driven that truck to become one of the best independents of all time, and has found its way on my top 10 list for my favorite independent trucks of all time. So it is really, really cool to see this truck still around today after now 7 years of competing, and I feel like the future is still very much bright and real for the Black Pearl. Going to number 9, we have a very legendary but very underrated truck in the history of the sport. This is Ghost Rider, the one with a Y, and it is a truck that was heavily known for doing backflips in independent events before really anyone else did them. It never ran in Monster Jam, and it was never a really popular truck, but I would always see clips of this thing doing backflips, and I love the way the truck looks. In general, it's got a beautiful body design. The name of the truck, Ghost Rider, is super cool. Ghost Rider is one of my favorite comic book characters ever. So there's just a lot of nostalgia there, and this truck would have been a lot higher if it was actually more of a competitive truck and ran more frequently. But man, this thing has got a big place in history, and I love it. Going to number 8, we have a really popular truck that ran in Monster Jam for a long time by J.R. McNeil and Buddy Tompkins. This is Raisin Cane. This truck is one of the coolest looking trucks of all time. It's so simple. And I think the thing that really drives it home for me is that Ram body style. Something about it. I love Ram trucks. I am a hopefully future Ram owner myself. So just the Ram body design is something that looked different at the time. There are not that many trucks that run it, and the Raisin Cane just looked great. The white body with just the blue decal and then the blue wheels on it too. I mean, everything about this truck was done perfectly, and it wasn't ever driven super crazy, but whenever that truck was out there on the floor, it sounded great and it looked great, and it cracks my top 10 favorite independent trucks of all time. Going to number 7, we have a truck that ran in the mid-2010s that I got to witness a few times, Mopar Magic. Now, this might have just dug up some memories for some of you watching this video, because I'll tell you what, Mopar Magic was really, really cool. Driven by a lot of drivers. My most memorable was Carl Van Horn, but there were some really quality drivers who drove this truck. Nothing crazy about it, but if you look at number 7 and 8, what do they have in common? They're both Dodge Ram pickup trucks. So maybe something about that. Obviously, Mopar Magic is a tribute to Dodge. I don't know. I guess I just have been a fan of Dodge a lot longer than I really remember, but Mopar Magic always looks so cool, and purple too. I mean, it's a beautiful purple truck. Not that many trucks in that color in the history of the sport, and purple is one of my favorite colors. So you combine that with the Ram, I mean, it's genuinely just a perfect combo, and that truck was always ran really hard too. So love it. It gets the number 7 spot. At number 6, Colt Energy Activator is my number 6 favorite independent truck of all time. This truck barely ran, but it was driven by Sean Duhan, and it was just such a unique looking truck. And I mean, that truck looked like a race monster truck. It had the really unique Chevy design. The Colt stood out on the side. It was the black and red. The red wheels were also really cool. I love when trucks do the wheels that are in the color of the secondary color of the truck, and it's not just the bead lock. It's the whole wheel that was that color. it looked really cool. That truck stood out. There was nothing more about it. I don't know what it is. That truck is just eye candy to me. And it gets the number 6 spot, which is ahead of a lot of these other trucks I've had heavily praised. But it's just because of how pretty it is. This thing is a beaut, and I love to look at it. Getting into the number 5 spot, we have our first modern day truck. This is Wildside. And man, I could talk about this truck for a long time. Zach Garner drives this truck into the ground, but that is not why it is in the number 5 spot on this list. Wildside is such a pretty and unique design, and it's designed by a Monster Jam community creator, Taylor Andes. Some of you might remember him from Jam Customs Official. I mean, that dude was making some of the coolest designs on Instagram, and Zach Garner contacted him specifically to design this truck, and I have been following his posts on Instagram for years before this truck was made. Loved his posts. He lived here in Arizona, and to find out that he was the one who designed the Wildside truck was super cool. So there's a great story behind it, and this truck has looked better and better throughout the years. I mean, something about that beautiful paint scheme, the purple and the orange mixes so well together. It just stands out in a grouping of trucks. You could put 50 trucks in front of me, and that's going to be one of the first that stands out in the crowd. I just love it, and I think it is certainly one of the best ever made. In the number 4 spot, we have Titan. This is such a beautiful truck, and I'm not just talking about the regular standard yellow Titan. I'm talking about all the different Titan paint jobs that Donald Epidendio whipped out over his career. The truck still drives today, not as frequently though, as they're expecting a child with him and Becky McDonough, but still, this truck had so many iterations throughout the years. It was cool originally, but once you went to the square body, this truck went from being a pretty good looking truck to one of the prettiest trucks in the history of the sport. I mean, it's my number 4 favorite independent truck ever. So obviously, there was something special about the way Titan looked for me, and I was just a huge fan. I mean, this truck looked so awesome, and Donald Epidendio drove it so well. Anytime it went to the World Finals, you knew you were getting a custom body out of it. It was so pretty, and I wish it still ran in Monster Jam. This is my number 1 truck that I wish still drove in Monster Jam out of the independents that don't. Hands down. He was always a great driver, he was a great racer, and the truck sounded and looked beautiful. In the number 3 spot, we have yet another driver who is currently in the sport. It is Terminal Velocity, which is piloted by John Zimmer Jr. This truck is always so fun to see. It's got the Willys body style, and it's not super crazy in its design. Some of these other trucks you've seen have had really dynamic designs. Wildside, Colt Energy Activator, but this truck is very similar to Raisin Cane in that it doesn't have to do too much to look really cool, but the paint and the design of the truck is not the reason why it's here. It is genuinely just because of that Willys body style. Now, there have been many other Willys designs throughout the history of the sport. Some of the most notable ones, Captain's Curse and Blacksmith, but neither of those I would count as independent trucks. We've also seen Overboard run a Willys design as well, but Terminal Velocity just nailed it. It's not trying to do too much. It showcases that Willys design perfectly without cluttering the beauty of the body style with an overly eye-grabbing design. Too many times drivers are trying to make those body styles and paint jobs look too crazy. They're trying to put too much on there. Terminal Velocity knows what it's got to do to look pretty and keep that Willys the star of the show, and that is why this truck is my number 3 favorite independent truck of all time. Coming in at number 2, we have Tailgator. Now, this might come as a bit of a surprise to some of you, but I'm not going to lie. This one is one that is heavily driven by the driver. And when I say heavily driven, I mean it is heavily driven to be number 2 because of the driver. Tim Jones has driven this truck into absolute legacy in my head. This is one of the greatest independent trucks and drivers of all time. It might even be a top 10 best independent and truck combo ever. I mean, it is just such a beauty. The Tailgator look has been around for years. Now he's got the white body design out there too. He always has the glowing eye on the truck, and it just, the chassis being silver usually that's a sign of somebody who just doesn't feel like painting the chassis, and that might have even been the case. But for whatever reason, it works with this Tailgater truck better than any silver chassis I think I've ever seen. You can compare it to Uproar today. Uproar's got a silver chassis, but it doesn't look as damn near good as this Tailgater does when it's driving out there. He also usually runs the zoomies, which just adds to that dominant, menacing look to what is my second favorite independent truck of all time. But there has to be a number one. And there have been a lot of independent trucks that are a lot of people's favorites throughout the years that I'm sure a lot of you have made your predictions on what you think are number one or your number one is. And I'm not going to lie, I actually forgot this truck existed until I looked through every single monster truck ever created, and I saw it and I went, oh yeah, that is my number one favorite independent truck of all time. And it is Hooligan. Some of you have probably never seen this truck before, but oh my goodness, this Hooligan truck is so beautiful. The red, the silver, the sound, the bead locks. This truck would go out there and drive, and it never drove anything crazy. But it was absolutely, if I had to design a monster truck, Hooligan would be the exact truck I would make. Between the wheels, the chassis color, the paint job, the design for the paint job, the body style, the exhaust type. This is probably top 10 favorite monster trucks of all time territory for Hooligan, in my opinion. I mean, it is so pretty. It sounded good. It looked good. Didn't run for very long, but man, that truck caught my eye every single time I saw it, and I didn't see it very much. And I wish this truck was still around to drive today, because it is absolutely stunning. And it takes home my favorite independent truck of all time. And there are so many others that we could talk about, but man, picking out a 10 was tough. There were a lot of trucks that just barely missed the list that could have been on here, but I had to pick a 10, and these were my 10. So that'll do it for today's video. Let me know your favorite independent trucks in the comments. Which ones do you agree with, disagree with? Obviously, it's a personal opinion, so really not much disagreeing to do, but I want to hear the ones that you liked on this list. I really want to hear your thoughts, because this was a fun one that I took some time to make this video. Thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe, and we will see you all in the next one.